So this is Ed Lozier from Merck. I'm the moderator for this one session, and we have Yilong Zhang from Merck going to do a presentation today. Okay, take it away, Yilong.
Yeah. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, thanks Ed for the introduction.
Yeah. Okay.
And let me go the presentation mode. Okay, yeah. So I will introduce our internal package called r2rtf. It's a lightweighted R package to produce a table and figure in RTF format. So this is a summer intern project by r2rtf Wang, and also currently maintained by Smil and Madhu internally. And we recently released a beta version on GitHub for the package, so you can also access from over GitHub Merck repo. So with regard to the motivation of the package, in the pharma industry, we all know that the Microsoft will still play a central role in collaboration for over clinical study report and any other component for the deliverables. And also in ICH E3 guidance that provides information how we structure the content for clinical study reports. And also one challenge you may aware is that different organizations have their different standard to create table listing and figure with regard to the table layout, the font size, or other item. So on the right side, you can see some example package, like for R table, that's from Roche, and that basically generated the ASCII2 table format. And also recently, outstanding package Pharma RTF that reproduce many tables using the CDISC example. So that's basically follow the CDISC submission template. And with regard to the r2rtf, we create most likely follow the Merck table standard. And the right side is just one example how the table looks like to give you a favor. But that doesn't mean r2rtf can only create this format. It's just the default setting makes it looks like following over internal standard. But for external, you can always customize as needed. So with regard to the lightweight, so r2rtf is very specific for the RTF format, and we try to reduce the code size to make it easier to be validated or qualified for regulatory purpose. And this is not like the GT package that can have versatile output for HTML, PDF, and RTF, right? So that's give you more flexibility and automation for the format. From over end, we really want to focus if you get an input that you want to design for a table, then you can get output as a flexible format in the RTF standard. And also it leverage some good feature in RTF that allow you to combine multiple small component in one large table, or also provide visualization and the group by feature that I will demonstrate shortly. So in general, the package will only depend on the base and recommended package that also simplify the dependency of the package to make it easier to maintain. And also it support the pipeline if you want to use dplyr or other outstanding tool around the tidyverse to make it become more readable. And to give a minimal flavor of what the package looks like. So basically, it only requires three required component by demonstrating using this famous iris data set. So the first step, we will add attributes to the data frame. So as you may already familiar with data frame, a nice feature that you can add different attributes to a data frame to to define the different behavior of the data frame. And the next step is basically translate those attributes to the RTF encode. And the last step is just write the RTF code into a file. So in that way, this is just a default setting, how it looks like for the iris dataset that have the variable name and also the first 6 row of the data. And when we go to the r2rtf package, that allow you to provide a flexible setting for the title, subtitle, or column header and footnote and so on. And also it allow you to control the table size and the border type, also the color and line wise for those features for the border and text. And also it allow you to control by vector. That means you can control by row or by column as long as you define the feature in a matrix. And also it provides you the visualization features that allow you to concatenate complicated object into one file. And furthermore, it's easy to use r2rtf to convert figures in RTF format. So this is one simple example for AE table. So I just demonstrate two additional arguments in the table to enhance the appearance of the table. The first, that we want to control the relative weights of each column, right? That's basically to define a vector corresponding to each column. And also we want to control the justification for the text in the table. So that will be left for the first column and be central for the rest of three. And this is a basic summary of the functions that's export to the user. So each of the function corresponding to each of the component, and the required part, as we mentioned, is RTF body, RTF encode, and write RTF. In the next slides, I will show you how to use those features corresponding to the concrete output. So this is a screenshot of a typical AE table or AE listing we use internally. And somehow, even though it's a listing, it actually contains more components that are easier for the illustration purpose. So the first part is the RTF page header that allow you to get the header of each page. And typically people want the number page in the header. And also that gave you the title. That's basically translate to the title in the table, and also allow you to have multiple line of title as needed. And this part is probably unique for this listing that require you to have a subject line that basically lists the trial number and some high-level site information in the listing. And the other part is about the column header. So the column header will define dynamically and it can be different layout compared with the RTF body. And that means it will be easier when you need to combine multiple column header and also combine multiple column into one column header. And the other part within the RTF body is actually these two line of the information. This two information is actually not the column header. Instead, it's a variable that can be dynamically changed, depends on the treatment group and the trial information. And also that can be defined by argument page by within the RTF body. And you can also further control the appearance and alignment of each text and also the type of the body. And another part is about the group by feature. The group by feature will allow you to hide the repeated information, right? If they are all from the same site, so that will only display the site information when they first appearance. And another part, when you have multiple page, that will also display the site information in each of the page. Then we move to the RTF footnote. The RTF footnote will give you the footnote information, and that can be controlled inside of or outside of the table body. And also, typically, we need the data source following the regulatory guidance. And the last one, you can control the page footer. That basically defines the information at the end of the margin. With regard to the figure example, so it's following the same pipeline structure. The only difference is that when you encode, you will tell the package the type of the encoding is a figure instead of a table, and the rest will be the same. You can still use RTF figure to control, to add the title, footnote, and data source, and so on. So for this one, I will present slightly complicated example. So in a typical efficacy analysis, we are required to combine multiple small data frames into one table. So in this example, it's an ANCOVA analysis. In the first part, we will summarize the basic information by treatment group, like the subject number and the average, and also the confidence interval. The next part, we want to have a treatment treatment group comparison between the two treatment groups, that will be the average and the p-value. And the last one, we also want to report the root mean square, most likely to inform how the sample size or power can be calculated. And in that way, we define the three small data frames, the tab 1, tab 2, and tab 3. And for each of them, you can define the features based on the function we just defined. Then the difference is that you will use the listing of the combination of the three tables as an input to the RTF encode. That allow you to generate a table, as we just showed in the motivation slides. So in general, that will combine the three parts of the table into one large table, and also allow you to set the title and footnote as needed. So that's basically an overview of the work we had, and I would like to acknowledge the contribution for our colleagues to testing and contribute the table. And in the backup, I have more examples. So if you have time, you can check out when the slides released. And this is just a reference for everything we present here. The website will show more examples and the documentation for the package. And the paper demonstrates the detailed information we just go through. And also those new features will be available in the version 0.2. So currently on Chrome, the version 0.11 is available, but 0.2 is still pending. We finalize the full SDLC internally. And definitely there's other outstanding package to create RTF that was to check out, also to see if that meets your organization's goal, including the GT officer, Pharma RTF, and the original RTF package and hooks table. Yep, I think that will conclude my presentation. Thank you.